What's cooking, folks? Vermillion Phoenix here, and today we're jumping into some more Orcs Must Die Unchained. This time we are heading into the Midnight Market with Brass. So this is Brass as of her 2.6 release. No updates or changes have been made to her, so we're still dealing with some of the bugs that she has. But overall, I think the tool she has actually suits Night Market really well. And that's mainly because the map is a too huge size. You can funnel the enemies into a single lane, which makes her turret super powerful. More so than it would be on anything that has a split lane or a particularly large amount of space between the gates that you would trap up. So here I think she actually is going to excel a bit more than other heroes. So we're going to take the arrow wall this time instead of the wall blades. And we're going to sort of make sure that she is defensively very well off. And we have our smashing deals discount. All of our damage traps are physical, so we should be pretty good here. We're going to drop this gear for our mending root. And just to be on the safe side, you can either take the ring of last stand or the teleportation ring. The teleportation ring I'm going to take because she will have a very tough time moving from this section that I'll be fighting in to over here. And also if something happens to get by me, then I can teleport over here and hopefully stop it. So that's sort of insurance, so to speak. But I think overall this setup is pretty good. You can choose to take something that's not the jailer if you want a guardian for this location. Don't really need it though, so let's go ahead and get started.
Anyone call for a machine gun builder?
All right, so this is a low coin start stage, similar to the baths. You don't really have a lot of coin to start, so you have to be very careful with how you spend it. If you're using regular barricades, keep in mind you only need 3 here, 2 to block this, and then 1 over here. Winds up costing you a little bit less than these, but this area will cost you a bit more. You can use 2 barricades to block this off, but if you do that, all the enemies will path down into the right there. If you don't want to have to deal all the damage yourself immediately, what you can do is leave a little bit open and just go ahead and drop some pounders here. They will deal a significant amount of damage, and from there you can just work your way up. You actually don't even need the second barricade that I placed back there that I just left up.
They've broken through a gate.
You'd be able to place some more arrow walls over here, which will help out significantly. And the turret will do a bit to help you out too, which is really nice. Alright, so because the turret is tier 1, we're just going to dispel it to heal it. That will save you a few swings with your hammer, and because of that, I think that's kind of important. So be aware that you can do that sometimes. I completely wasted that shot. Try to make sure that you are not leaving your cannonball on cooldown. It's one of the biggest DPS tools she has and cannot be overlooked. Probably should not have used that. Alright, so I have no idea why that checks so long, but it does, and you'll have to deal with it, so just be prepared to wait there after you kill everything. Do it once over on your mini map to make sure that there's nothing else remaining, but just be aware.
This will be useful. They come right through here.
Alright, we're going to go ahead and set up our stable hand pretty early.
Howdy, y'all.
And this is where we're going to place our turret.
Our enemies have broken through again.
Now you don't have to dump all your scrap in there, but I just decided to.
They've broken through a gate.
There might be an unstable rift. Yeah, there we go.
Unstable rift is opening. Quick, destroy it.
All right, this is working out pretty well. And again, that's part of the reason why we brought this ring.
We have destroyed the unstable rift.
That will guarantee that we don't really have to worry about coming back here again. 3 of those is enough to take care of any unstable rift, and nothing else should actually make it back here. I'm going to grab scrap pile. You're going to want to do that in one more place over in that corner there that I'm looking at now. And when you do that, you will no longer have to worry about unstable rifts at all. Alright. Now the turret gains both damage and a small bit of fire rate, I believe, as you upgrade it. So it does almost twice the damage that it started off doing now, which is really nice. Has a good amount of HP when it's being supported by other traps. If it was on its own, it would die pretty quick. Alright, so we no longer need this. We can trap this up just a tad. Start that and get some repairing going.
Enemies are attacking on another front.
The rift will be...
We come right through here.
Add a slow there. Probably should sell these two once the next wave opens up.
They've broken through
And
a
we got a
gate.
Chaos Kobold. That's really gonna suck. The mines, oh no, it wasn't a Kobold. It was this guy. Alright, nice. We were able to concentrate most of our damage there for a moment, so that allowed us to do way more than I expected. Let's go ahead and sell that and set this up for success now. Just because this is the other area that an unstable rift could be summoned in, 3 of those will pretty much guarantee that that thing gets utterly destroyed in the future. And then you can start setting up regular ballista here. Alright, and try not to get too close so the giants don't cause you any problems with your mobility. Things will aggro the turret, that's fine. You want them to. You have ballista here specifically for that reason. Though it probably would be a bit better further back, but I don't feel like dispelling it and rebuilding it. You don't really have too much time to do that with, and it takes a good amount of time to get that done. Okay, just in case. Not too many areas where you can use wall traps either.
Opening, destroy it.
Now let's see if those ballista do their job.
Well done. The unstable rift has been destroyed.
Okay, looks like that worked out beautifully. Alright, one thing that I wanted to do was drop these off here, and now that they have murdered my turret, let's go ahead and place it right next to our guardian. We're going to grab scrap boom so we don't actually have to touch all the scrap that we're trying to pick up now. Don't let anything through here. If you do, you'll regret it. Kind of like I am now. That was pretty close. And I feel like that's something that Brass specifically has to deal with. Just the issue of managing her attack cooldowns is a bit much at the moment. You can let a lot of enemies through if you miss a shot. Let's go ahead and dispel you. Resummon. This is taking a ton of time. Pretty much took all the time I had between that wave starting and the enemies coming out. Oh, sounded like enemies were beyond me for a moment. Ooh, almost were. Okay. And the turret is really, really nice and synergistic with Guardians, mainly because the Guardians add the one thing that the turret does not have to its arsenal, which is area of effect damage. turret can't attack in an area in any way whatsoever, which is kind of sad, but it is the way it is. I mean, almost like all the dwarves are packing explosives, and then their turret only does single target damage. Alright, so that should be most of the stage. They're going to throw a whole bunch of stuff at you now, but ultimately you've had time to prepare for it. Ooh. Again, area of effect stuff, really good. Okay, so they're going to throw everything that they can at you. You are well prepared for it now. Don't really have much of anything to worry about.
Exactly. This will be useful.
And I don't think anything really is going to get
An unstable rift is opening.
too far around here now. The slows are kind of set up in the perfect place. I forgot that this could spawn up here.
And our heroes destroyed the unstable rift, and there was much rejoicing.
For grouped up enemies, you can just kind of spam the bombs, which is really nice.
The rift will be protected.
But for the most part,
They summoned the boss minion. Made
that's
for
it.
the final wave.
This boss is what? Commander Tower?
Wait till they come for you.
Drop a BGH behind him. We're going to grab Cannonball Coming because that makes the Cannonball pretty much as often available as her primary attack. So you get a permanent right click, left click rotation that you can use now. Whenever Earth Elementals show up, just spam bombs. It is absolutely the best thing in the world against them. You don't want to do anything else other than spam bombs. It is perfect.
If I had some firecrackers, I'd celebrate.
Huh. Funny enough, there's firecrackers littered around the stage and exploding barrels. Now, just because of the way that Brass functions with all of our attacks dealing damage, the score there was a lot lower than what I got with Elin. And that just happens with some characters. Some characters are good at creating and dealing with combos. Some are not. So it is what it is. Let's go ahead and pop this chest open. Give me my Gibbs. All right. So we got the skulls, we got the Gibbs. That's pretty much it. I mean, I think I will move on to Banquet Hall for the end of this week, and we will see how they manage that. I've done Banquet Hall with pretty much everybody except for Elin and Brass, so it'll be nice to see what they can do. The part time here is still the 13:45. So I'm gonna see if there's any strategies that don't utilize the kitchen that can still get this done within that period of time, and if so, then I will be using those just because I've done the kitchen a lot. But yeah, either way, let me know what you guys think of Brass currently. I know there's been a ton of feedback left for her so far. Some people like certain skills the way they are, some don't, and you can pretty much just select any skill and there will be a bunch of feedback on how people want to change it. Ultimately, I'm interested in seeing what the final result will be, if anything will get changed, and see how she reacts after she gets updated, whenever that is. Just because I expect that, you know, initial impressions will leave some sort of feedback for a character, and usually the devs, like they had with Deadeye, have been really receptive of just making improvements to the characters relatively quickly. But we'll see. Either way, I hope you guys enjoyed this. It's great if you happen to have learned something that's just wonderful. Feel free to leave me any comments. I like to get back to those. And talking with you guys is great for everything. It's good for the channel, it's good for me, and I love doing it. But until next time, as always, have a good one, folks.